Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that terrific conservative welcome. Thank you. I am Naval Bajaj. I am your candidate. I am your candidate for the great riding of Brampton East. And tonight, I am your master of ceremonies. Isn't it wonderful to be here in the Peel region with so many conservative friends? Ladies and gentlemen, here we are joined by some special guests. Let me take a moment to introduce them to you. Let me start with our terrific Minister, Honorable Jason Kenney. From Milton, Minister of Transportation, Lisa Ray. From Brampton Centre, Minister of State for Sport, Bal Gosal. From Mississauga, Stittswell, MP Brett Butt. From Mississauga, East Cookswell, MP Walsall Lizon. From Mississauga, Arundel, MP Bob Deckard. From Etobicoke Lakeshore, MP Bernard Totier. From Thornhill, MP Peter Kent. From Mississauga Malton, Jagdish Garewal. From Mississauga Centre, Julius Tengson. From Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas, Vincent Samuel. From Hamilton Centre, Yonton Roseanne. From Oakwell North Burlington, Effie Trentafelobus. From Oakwell, MP Terence Young. From King Vaughan, Constantine Tubis. From Devonport, Carlos Oliveira. From Toronto, St. Paul, Marina McDougall. From Humber River, Black Creek, Kerry Vandenberg. From Beaches, East York, Bill Burrows. From Scarborough Rouge Park, Jerry Benz. From Scarborough North, Ravinder Malli. I'm positive I recognized everyone who is, I see here Member of Parliament Mark Adler. Sorry, how can I miss the Honorable Minister Chris Alexander? Asha Seth, Kyle Seaback, I see Member of Parliament Ted Optis. Stella Emler. So we have a... That's okay. I have something special for Param. Michael Parsha. See, that's good to have such a big conservative family out here. So again, welcome all to my home riding Brampton East. And now to introduce our special guest, I would like to welcome to the podium from the next door riding, Brampton Springdale, Param Gill.
Let me adjust this. Good evening. How is everyone doing tonight? It's always great to be amongst conservative friends, first of all, and I want to welcome all of you. Good evening to all of you once again. My name is Param Gill. It is my honor to seek election in the great riding of Brampton North. On October 19th, Canadians will make an important choice. We will be picking somebody to make tough decisions for Canada. And I don't think there's been a time in this generation when it has mattered more in terms of who sits at the Prime Minister's desk. The world we live in is dangerous and unpredictable. Our economy and our prosperity are threatened by things we do not control. To be Prime Minister of Canada takes a clear head and a steady hand. This much I know. This is not an entry-level job. It's also no job for somebody with dangerous ideas about economics. Mr. Mulcair thinks you can tax your way to prosperity. It is a job for somebody who has already proven he can do what it takes to keep Canadians safe and our economy strong. There is only one individual who has that proven experience. The individual I'm talking about is not only a thinker who sees deeply into complex problems and understand what needs to be done, but also someone of action who can get it done. Friends, when you're a prime minister, you're a celebrity. But being a celebrity does not make you a prime minister. But let me tell you quickly why I'm proud to work for him. He's an economist. He gets what they do at the G7. And my friends, he plays a big part in deciding what they do. He is a leader who understands our Canadian economy, that low taxes are important to Canadians, and a balanced budget to the business of our country. That's why under his watch, despite a global economic downturn, Canada has led the developed world in creating jobs. He's a leader who has the courage of his convictions. time and again, he has staked out the right positions on Russian aggression, on combating terrorism, on Israel's right to defend itself. And even when it's not popular, he will stand by what's right. He will always stand for what is right. He's not a man who tries to avoid problems by pretending they do not exist. And he's a leader who time and again has taken decisive action to protect Canadians at home and to stand up for Canada and Canadians abroad. He is the leader we need to keep Canada strong and to keep Canada moving forward. My friends, it is now my great honor and a privilege to invite this leader to the podium. Please rise and join me in welcoming the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Stephen Harper.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for that terrific Conservative welcome, everybody. I want to begin by thanking our introducers, Param, Nav, for their warm introduction. You know, Param is great. He is a great guy. He's been a great member of Parliament. Nav would be just the same. This is a great team. Give them once again a big hand, both of them. Lorene, Ben, Rachel, and I are delighted to be here, surrounded by friends and surrounded by a great Conservative team. Now, I know Nav already introduced them, but I just have to once again mention our outstanding members of Parliament and candidates. I want them to rise as a group, and I want you to once again acknowledge them. Please join me in giving them a big hand that says we're behind them, that we're going to work so they succeed on October 19th, and we paint Brampton, PL Region, and the GTA bright Conservative blue. Now, friends, just before I get into the meat of things, I just want to say I know that events like this do not just organize themselves. So please join me in thanking all of the volunteers in the Brampton North Conservative Riding Association for their work tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, friends, more than anything, I want to thank you for being here, because it's you we're depending on to do the hard and important work that brings the win. And I know you're here. We're all here because we believe in our party, in our policies, and in our people. But above all else, we're here for Canada. Nous sommes fiers de notre histoire, confiants en notre avenir, notre Canada, le meilleur pays du monde. We're proud of our history, confident in our future, in this country, Canada, the best country in the world. And at the same time, we know that the success of our country, I say this about being the best country in the world, but it's not a glib comment. Our success, our prosperity, our peace, our freedom, these things are no accident. Our success is the product of the sacrifices and hard work of the generations that have gone before us, the product of the choices, the sometimes difficult choices that they made. The choice to even come to Canada being the first and most important choice that they made. And I just want to spend a few moments to say something about that choice, a choice your family made, a choice my family made. We are as diverse and successful a society as the world has ever known. People from all lands, all faiths, all cultures, held together by common ideals under the same laws, possessing an equality of opportunity that cannot be matched anywhere else in the world. That's our Canada. Now, if that is how you feel about Canada, you are among friends tonight. Because with all my heart, I believe I know that our party, the Conservative Party of Canada, best reflects the values and aspirations of new Canadians from one coast of this country to the other. Is family important to you? Conservatives are the party that puts families first. Do you believe in judging people on merit and nothing more? We're the party that believes that who you are and what you've done matter more than who you know and where you're from. Do you admire people who succeed by working hard and playing by the rules? Then welcome home. Never forget, it was Canada's Conservatives that gave this country its first Bill of Rights and enshrined multiculturalism into law. Canada's Conservatives that first made the halls of Parliament reflect the streets of our towns and our cities by electing the first member of Parliament of Chinese origin, the first MP of Ukrainian origin, the first MP of Greek origin, the first MP of Japanese origin, the first Muslim MP, the first Hindu MP, the first black cabinet minister, the first Inuit cabinet minister, the first turban Sikh cabinet minister, the first senators of Filipino origin, of Korean origin, of Vietnamese origin, of Pakistani origin. This is the Conservative Party where fully 1 out of 5 of our candidates shares the immigrant story. That's the difference. Never before, friends, in Canadian history, let's talk about the record. Never before, friends, in Canadian history has a government welcomed so many new Canadians. More than 2.5 million since we came to office. We cut immigration wait times after the Liberals left us a backlog of 800,000 applications. They cut immigration by 1/3, fully 1/3 when they first took office. When we faced a recession, we were the first government not to cut immigration because we Conservatives understand the long-term benefits to this country of a good and strong immigration policy. And friends, let's talk about the whole record because you've supported it. We cut immigration while also fixing a broken refugee system, while also cracking down on unscrupulous immigration consultants, while also removing foreign criminals more quickly. Friends, as new Canadians, those are the choices you've made, the Conservative choice, and that is what has made all the difference for new Canadians and for this country. Now, speaking, of course, of choices, there isn't a bigger choice, a choice more consequential for Canadians than which party, which leader Canadians will choose on October 19th to protect the economic security of Canadians and to protect the national security of our country. My friends, it is a clear choice. Indeed, it is a stark choice. And for the sake of this country, to keep it moving forward, it's a choice we're going to get right.
C'est un choix sur quel parti, quelle équipe a le leadership, l'expérience qui a fait ses preuves pour assurer la sécurité des Canadiens, des Canadiennes et la prospérité et la force de notre économie.
It's a choice about which party, which team has the leadership, the proven experience to keep Canadians safe and to keep our economy prosperous and strong. It isn't Justin Trudeau. He's just not ready. I don't know where I heard that. I heard that somewhere. And it's not Mr. Mulcair in the NDP, whose high tax, high spending, high debt ideology would wreck our economy just as it has wrecked the economy of so many countries, indeed, so many of our own provinces, where it has been tried. You know, I noticed the last few days there's a bit of a controversy about the NDP candidates out there who are talking about shutting down our resource sector, something, by the way, Mr. Mulcair himself started when he went to Washington to argue against our resource sector. Never forget, friends, this is not just about rural Canada. You know, here in Toronto, this is the biggest financial center for the mining industry in the world. The NDP gets to shut down resources, the Liberals get to shut down our resource industries. That's going to hurt everybody. That's why we need a strong, stable, national majority Conservative government. Now, friends, since coming to office, our government has had to make choices, sometimes difficult choices, in a time of unprecedented global economic turbulence and instability. We don't control, people know, we don't control the price of oil, the Chinese stock market, or the financial mismanagement of other countries. But we have been focused on what we can do. And what we didn't do, by the way, are the things that Justin Trudeau and Thomas Mulcair demanded we do. They wanted us to blow our spending to smithereens, extravagant new spending. They wanted us to run permanent deficits. They wanted us to raise taxes. They even wanted us to use Canadian tax dollars to bail out the debts of other countries. No, friends, we stuck to our promises and to our economic action plan, and that's why we have, by far, the lowest national debt burden in the G7 et des années avant. La plupart des autres pays développés, nous sommes retournés à l'équilibre budgétaire, and years ahead of most other developed countries, we have returned to a balanced budget in Canada. Our economic action plan, that's why the Canadian economy has been growing steadily for the past 6 years, why it will grow again this year, and why, since the depths of the global recession, Canada's economy has created nearly 1.3 million net new jobs, 1.3 million more people working today than 6 years ago, de loin. Le meilleur bilan de création d'emplois parmi les pays du G7 by any measure. The best job creation record in the G7. It's also why our economic action plan, it's also why, to encourage jobs and growth, we've lowered taxes for individuals, for families, and for job-creating businesses. C'est pourquoi nous avons maintenant le fardeau fiscal le plus bas en plus de 50 ans. That's why, friends, never forget this one. At the federal level, we have the lowest federal tax burden since John Diefenbaker was Prime Minister, the lowest federal tax burden in over half of a century. Our economic action plan, that's why we've been out there concluding trade agreements with Europe, with the Americas, with Asia. When we came to office, Canada had trade deals with only 5 other countries in the entire world. Today, we have concluded trade deals with 44 countries. Friends, if you look at Canada's free trade access to the world, which is going to be so important in the generations to come, almost 99% of it was created by conservative governments. And we're not stopping there. We're continuing to implement our economic action plan to create good jobs and build our economy. We're providing skills training to our workers. We're supporting our manufacturers with policies that encourage innovation. We're building the national infrastructure. In fact, our Conservative government is investing some $80 billion in Canada's infrastructure over the next decade in projects like the Zoom rapid transit system here in Brampton. Notre nouveau plan Chantier Canada est tout simplement l'investissement dans l'infrastructure le plus long et le plus important fait par le gouvernement dans toute l'histoire du Canada. Our new Building Canada plan is quite simply the longest, largest infrastructure investment by any national government in the history of this country. So friends, I'm very proud that our Conservative government has done what we said we would do, that we have put the interests of everyday, hardworking Canadian families first. Because we Conservatives know that your money, this is a big difference, people, this is a big difference. You know, I'm always amused the other guys. They talk about, whenever we cut taxes, they talk about we've given this money away. No, friends, we've given people their own money. We understand your money belongs to you, not to the bureaucracy in Ottawa. We know you make better choices for your family than governments ever will. That's why we cut taxes across the board. That's why we stopped giving money to bureaucrats to raise our children and instead gave that money directly to Canadian families in their place. We did that through the universal child care benefit. The universal child care benefit has been helping families since we came to office in 2006. This year we expanded it, providing now $160 a month for children under 6 and creating a new benefit for children up to the age of 17. These are real dollars in the pockets of Canadian families each and every month. Et avec notre plan, axé sur des impôts bas, mes amis, toutes les familles canadiennes avec enfants sentir mieux. And under our low tax plan, friends, and this is a big difference between us and what the Liberals are telling you. Under our plan, each and every single Canadian family is better off. Now, in fact, let me just remind you, Pierre Poilievre makes me do this. You guys know about this. Pierre Poilievre makes me do this. Let me just remind you that for a few weeks, our enhanced universal child care benefit has been arriving in mailboxes and bank accounts right across the country, just as we promised you in the last election campaign. We've also introduced income splitting to help our pensioners save on taxes. And now, once again, Just as we promised through the family tax cut, we're doing exactly the same thing, income splitting for families with children. We've also helped Canadians prepare for retirement. We created the new tax-free savings account, and in our economic action plan this spring, once again, just as promised, we doubled the amount that you can contribute to your TFSA. When you put these and some other things all together, friends, over our term of office, une famille canadienne moyenne a, grâce à nos politiques, plus de 6 500 $ de plus dans ses poches. The average Canadian family has, due to our conservative policies, more than 6,500 additional dollars in their pockets. So when it comes to economic management, job creation, balanced budgets, lower taxes, real benefits to families, money in your pockets, nous avons fait ce que nous avions dit. Nous avons tenu nos promesses. We did what we said we would do. We delivered on our promises. That's leadership, and that is conservative leadership. So, friends, big question. What would our opponents do for our economy, for your taxes? Justin Trudeau cannot explain how he'll pay for all his spending promises, but he says he doesn't have to, because, as he famously announced, and I quote, the budget will balance itself. That's called a closer in some businesses. Do budgets balance themselves here in Brampton? Am I missing something? I bet all of you wish that your household budget would just balance itself. And Justin thinks he is ready to lead the economy of a G7 country. Thomas Mulcair says he'll be able to spend more than us on everything, by raising taxes. And by raising taxes first, he says, on job-creating businesses, because, according to the NDP, those taxes are too low. But when Mr. Mulcair was asked by the CBC, I have to say, when Mr. Mulcair was asked by the CBC what the business tax rate is, he didn't have a clue. And that's NDP economic policy for you. Nous, au NPD, nous ne savons pas combien vous payez d'impôts, mais nous savons que nous allons les augmenter. We in the NDP may not know what your taxes are, but we know that we're going to have to raise them. That's what we don't want, friends. Friends, the bottom line is this. Justin's Liberals and Mulcair's NDP have voted against every single tax break and every single family benefit that we brought in, each for their own reasons. We'll take away in whole or in part the universal child care benefit, income splitting, and your tax-free savings accounts. And they will raise other taxes too. Both Justin and Mulcair have promised to raise your payroll taxes for CPP, your payroll taxes for EI. For the CPP hike alone, a worker making $60,000 a year would pay an extra $1,000 out of his pocket. And his employer, his boss, will have to pay that much more if he wants to keep him on the payroll. The Liberals and the NDP have also promised long ago, many times, to reverse our GST cut with various forms of a carbon tax. And friends, even after these guys, if they got a chance to do all those tax hikes, even after that, their enormous spending promises, tens of billions of dollars per year in promises they have made to special interest groups, means that they will run large and spiraling deficits. These are not fanciful projections. These are the actual, on-the-record commitments made by Trudeau's Liberals and Mulcair's NDP. Friends, we have come too far. We have come too far in this country to take reckless risks with our economy, with our stability, and with our jobs. You can look around the world, friends, at other countries, at some provinces, to see where Trudeau's and Mulcair's policies would take us. In Canada, Under careful conservative management, we have a large and growing middle class, the wealthiest in the world, according to the New York Times. We have lower taxes, with more federal spending on health care, education, infrastructure, the things that matter to real hardworking families, and all with more jobs, a balanced budget, and good future economic prospects. So let's make sure, on October the 19th, assurons-nous que le 19 octobre, nous avons un gouvernement conservateur solide, stable, national, et majoritaire. Make sure we get a strong, stable, national majority conservative government. Mes amis, il y a un autre grand enjeu. Un gouvernement conservateur n'est jamais plus important que quand il faut protéger nos familles contre le crime ici et contre la menace terroriste djihadiste qui se répand dans le monde. And friends, nowhere is a conservative government more important than the other big issue in this election, and that is when it comes to protecting our families from crime here at home and from the terrorist threat that is spreading around the world. Last October, we were brutally reminded that Canada is not immune to the jihadist terrorist threat. But friends, while we are not immune, neither are we helpless. We are not at the mercy of those fanatics who reject the freedom, the human dignity, indeed, even the right to live of anyone who does not submit to their radical, violent ideology. That's why we beefed up resources to our law enforcement and security agencies. That's why we've given the legal tools they need to those organizations to counter the threats they face every day. And that is why the Canadian Armed Forces are participating in the international coalition against ISIS. Friends, I know I say this a lot, but let me say it again. We cannot thank often enough the brave men and women in uniform who are willing to go to Iraq and to Syria and fight ISIS there so we can be safer here at home in Canada. Friends, I don't say these things glibly. For a government, for a prime minister, there is no more difficult decision than sending young men and women into harm's way in a dangerous part of the world. But these are the decisions you have to be able to make from time to time. Our opponents are simply not up to it. The NDP has an ideological opposition to such decisions. Thomas Mulcair a même refusé d'admettre que les attaques d'octobre perpétrées en sol canadien étaient des actes terroristes. Thomas Mulcair even refused to admit that the October attacks on Canadian soil were terrorism. But if you can't even bring yourself to call jihadist terrorism what it is, how can you be trusted to confront it or to keep Canadians safe from it? Thomas Mulcair and the NDP have voted against every single piece of national security legislation ever brought to Parliament. Justin Trudeau, on the other hand, most recently, he did vote for our most recent security legislation. But then he ran outside of the House of Commons and said he was only doing so because an election was coming, and if he got elected, he'd undo it all. It is typical of his superficial, unserious thinking. And of course, Mr. Mulcair and Mr. Trudeau opposed the motion against ISIS. Both have promised to remove our troops and aircraft from the international force. Mr. Trudeau, as you will recall, talked against that motion in terms laced with contempt for the Canadian military. You know, these guys say, well, we want to do humanitarian stuff, we don't want to do military stuff. You know what people who come from those communities in this country said? If you don't fight ISIS and you just drop humanitarian aid, you'll be dropping humanitarian aid on dead people. Friends, in Canada, we can and we must do both humanitarian assistance and we must militarily take on ISIS, and that is what we are doing. So hear me on this. When the most violent and barbaric people in the world brag about their mass murders and broadcast them on the world airwaves, when they threaten to carry out such attacks against Canadians and here in Canada, we will not back down. We will not weaken our law enforcement and security agencies, and this Canada under our Conservative government will not pull out of the fight. Friends, we must accept a dangerous world for what it is, and we must make our way in it. Unlike our opponents, our foreign policy is about recognizing realities and acting on principle. It is not about courting popularity at the United Nations. That's why we've taken a number of stands. I want to mention a couple. That's why, as long as I am Prime Minister, we have supported and we will continue to support Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state and to defend itself. That's why we have been out front in condemning Mr. Putin's invasion of Ukraine, putting in place aggressive sanctions against Russia, and providing financial and military aid to Ukraine. And I said before, I say it again, whether it takes 5 months or 50 years, we will never accept Russian control over any square inch of Ukrainian territory. Friends, our Canada is, in this dangerous world, a compassionate neighbor, a confident partner, and when necessary, a courageous warrior. Our party accepts that we have those responsibilities to act, to lead, and to protect. Now, friends, as I said at the outset, this October, Canadians will make a choice. It is a real, substantive choice, a choice about the direction of our country. It is a choice with profound implications for our economy, for our families, and for our security. Il s'agit d'un choix entre des stratagèmes risqués ou une gestion stable. It's a choice between risk and stability, between half-baked ideas and a proven track record, between an economic plan and a leap in the dark. Let Thomas Mulcair and Justin Trudeau explain how they are going to conjure tens of billions of dollars of promised new spending out of thin air, or more probably out of your bank account. We Conservatives will continue our proven record of a balanced budget, lower taxes, and sound economic management. Let the other guys explain how repealing our tax cuts and benefits and taking money out of the pockets of families and seniors is going to make them better off. We Conservatives will stand for benefits and tax dollars paid directly to Canadian families, not to bureaucrats. Let the other guys explain their carbon tax schemes and which industries they're going to decide to shut down. We Conservatives will stand for responsible environmental regulation that does not come at the cost of jobs and our economy. Let the other guys explain, friends, their plans for drug injection sites in your neighborhoods, for legalized marijuana and legalized prostitution, for ending mandatory prison sentences for even the most violent criminals, and for bringing back the wasteful and ineffective long gun registry. We Conservatives will stand for safe streets and safe communities, for real penalties for violent crime, and we will always stand for the rights of victims and law-abiding citizens ahead of the rights of criminals. And my friends, let Mulcair and Trudeau explain why our security agencies should have their powers weakened, have their hands tied, and why Canada should pull out of the international coalition fighting ISIS. We Conservatives will continue to stand by our allies, and we will face up to foursquare the very real threats facing the world and facing this country, Canada. Friends, these are all difficult questions, but the privilege of governing means working hard, facing the realities of the world, and making the decisions you have to make, the best decisions, whether they are always popular or not. You do it for the country you love, but you always in a way that is tough, in circumstances that are tough and demanding and constantly changing. It's never easy, and it never will be. But friends, together we have built a Canada worth fighting for. And tonight, I'm asking you for your support to keep us on course. Keep us out of the hands of those who are not ready for this responsibility and those whose ideas would wreck our economy. Only our Conservative Party will keep Canadians safe and keep our economy strong. And as Conservatives, that is the duty we owe this country we have come to serve it, to build it, to protect it, to cherish it, whatever difficulties we may encounter along the way, because this is and this must remain our Canada, the best country in the entire world. I want to thank you all once again for being here tonight. I look around, I see some new faces, I see many faces I've seen before, have been with us for many years. I want to thank you for all the efforts you have made to get us this far, for all the efforts you are going to make to take this cause the rest of the way. God bless all of you. God bless Canada.